That was great. Jeff, welcome to the podcast, everybody.
Thank you.
Who are we talking to, Josh? Are we going to do intros?
Yeah. Well, we know, John, you're bad with last names, so should he just go by Jeff the whole episode, or should Yes,
I screwed up one last name, Josh. One last name.
We only had two guests.
Look, 50-50.
John, you remind me of something my dad used to tell me about. Is can we swear on this podcast?
Yes.
It's the goat fucker. You know what I'm talking?
You fuck one goat. Yeah.
I am the best plumber in the world. I've been doing this for 35 years. Fuck one goat.
Yeah, that's like the best dad joke of all. That, like, that, like, I will say I come from a very, like, religious upbringing, and I knew, like, I was old enough to hear that joke, and it was like the joke that my grandpa had. It's good.
Thanks.
All right. Anyways, Kristi, you want to give us your elevator pitch?
Yeah, sure. But growing up in a Puerto Rican household, we didn't have goat fuckers, so like
But you knew how to curse.
we had other stuff. Oh my gosh, I made John have like a real belly laugh. Look at this. Like a real, like, go get him. Look at me.
Kristi, what animals did you fuck?
Puerto Rico, we didn't have goat fuckers.
No.
Guys, we've
I don't know, like
lost the
three
plot.
previous fiancés. All similar animals.
Wait, can we talk about your previous fiancés? I don't think we've had this conversation on
I
there.
had three proposals before my husband.
That is the best name of a podcast I could ever think of. 3 previous fiancés.
Kristi Faltorusso and her 3 previous fiancés.
Wait, 3 proposals, 2 fiancés, 1 husband.
You did that in the right order. 3, 2, 1.
I've seen that movie. It was Jennifer Lopez.
Is that when she met
Matthew
McConaughey?
McConaughey?
It was Matthew
McConaughey's
McConaughey.
doing the lean backwards on Kate Hudson on the cover, right?
Yeah, failure launch.
Kristi, who would you want to be played by Jennifer Lopez? I feel like she would do a good job.
I feel like her, or like Eva Longoria when she was younger.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like, but like younger, like when she was in Desperate Housewives. Like not now, because I forget what she looks like because she's irrelevant, but like Eva Longoria 2002.
We don't want to piss off our celebrity
Season 1,
listeners.
Season 2 Desperate Housewives.
Season 1, Season 2. Yep. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Okay, I'm going to propose that we do our round of introductions, and as a part of that, we say who would play us in the movie of our life.
Yep.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
do it.
Like
Start with you, Kristi.
Right. Kristi Faltorusso, Chief Customer Officer at Client Success. I'm not going to give the rest of my spiel today, but I would be played by Eva Longoria. But 2002, Eva Longoria.
Amazing. Josh
Schachter, founder and CEO of UpdateAI. I'd be played by Larry David.
Yes, you would.
Oh, 100,000%.
Larry David.
Yes.
Like in 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years from now, Larry David.
Larry David would be my little brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hasn't he been 70 years old for the last 20 years?
Forever.
Yeah. Forever.
It's like Ben Stiller. Like, how old are you? I don't know.
You know, I saw him there. I was watching the U.S. Open this past week, and
he was there.
Yeah, he was there, and he was looking a little older. He was like, he was a grown man.
Handshake that he was.
Yeah.
doing.
No, did you see that too? Did you see Leo? Were you watching Leonardo as well? Jeez.
Yeah.
And
rich people.
JT as well.
Yep. Yeah.
He was looking bad. He had bags under his eyes. Like these celebrities.
Paul Rudd doesn't age.
He does not
age.
True. Yeah.
He's a vampire. Mickey,
and
who
he's
are
like
you?
the everyman.
He's always been 40 years old.
Who would play you?
Mickey Powell, the head of go-to-market at UpdateAI alongside Josh. And I would be played by Kevin Smith. But post weight loss, Kevin Smith.
Yeah. All right. I'm Jon Johnson. I am the principal customer success manager for key and global accounts at User Testing. It's a mouthful. I go back and forth.
That's what she said.
Jesus, Kristi.
Someone had to, no?
Yes.
And Josh isn't allowed to do it.
He's not allowed to do it anymore.
He's not allowed.
So 2 things. I would say early 2000s Justin Timberlake.
I was bringing sexy back.
Sexy back.
I just wanted that to land.
Yeah.
I think there's so little coffee in my cup, I didn't get it in time to spit it all out because that's what would have happened.
Okay,
how did you drink that whole thing, Kristi? Another that's why you live in Long Island, because those are banned in Manhattan.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
Too
this
much
is
water.
32 ounces, and I have my 40-ounce Stanley of water. Okay, go, John.
Or Will Ferrell.
Oh, I can see that.
That feels more on brand.
Yeah, I want the sexy of Justin. I want abs. I want Britney Spears, but like the depth of Will Ferrell's.
Nobody wants Britney
catalog.
Spears, John. She's so rare.
Early 2000s. Let's be honest.
Okay, like 96 Britney was like marquee Britney.
I think I have that poster.
96, 97, 98, like that genre of Britney. But like Britney now, if you go follow her on her Instagram, it's sad.
Yeah. I blame JT. Jeff, what about you? Remember Larry David's taken.
Yeah, Jeff Kushmerek, John. And
Jesus.
And I am the founder and CEO of Infinite Renewals. And let's see. Okay, the lookalikes.
Gee, I wonder what you do.
Just record podcasts, I think. But I hear three things on the lookalike thing, right? Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Then it gets contrasted with Richard
Kate
Gere,
Hudson.
which I've heard for a while because I've been gray for a while.
Oh, yeah. I see that.
And then somebody says this one thing that makes me like want to punch a seal. And it's Ross from Friends. So.
Oh, okay. You know what?
You're better than that.
I am better than that.
You're better than that, Jeff.
Yeah, I just need to just pivot.
Yeah, that's right.
What are we doing here, guys?
Jeff, I don't know, but I'm gonna say I like Richard Gere for you.
No, absolutely.
I like Richard Gere for you.
Yeah.
When you go gray at 20, that you get that a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're bald, you get every bald guy.
I was going to say, Josh is like, at least you went gray.
Yeah. I'm compared to, people think I look like Bruce Willis. No, they don't.
Current Bruce
the less
Willis.
jacked version.
Don't do it, Jeff. Don't do it.
Yeah. Well, we're deep into the bullshit of our podcast.
That has lost his muscles.
He can still be a good-looking guy.
He
right?
is.
Yeah,
like,
true.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody's ever compared me to Bruce Willis. I think, guys, when we look back at this episode, this is the one. This is the one
where we're like, you know what?
We lost it.
Because in the old days of online forums, there would be like a really good conversation. I would come in and the thread would die.
Yeah.
So that makes total sense.
You're the cooler. This is our William H. Macy right here, Jeff, is the cooler of our podcast.
Apologies. I certainly have a bunch of subjects to go over, but
good. Then because we don't. So lead us.
No, we do.
Because I'm over here Googling pictures of Eva Longoria, and I got to say, she's hot.
Gets Kristi just all spun up into oblivion. So I could go over one of those, but maybe I'll soft shoot with a different one.
I mean, we get those every week, so
whether we want them or not.
I actually have, believe it or not, I did a little bit of prep for this.
Why? Okay, let's go.
Wait, but Jeff was just gonna go.
Yeah. No, he doesn't matter.
I'll bring mine in as more of like a thing just to break it up a little
as the subject matter expert. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The two people that are still listening, here we go.
Mom, Dad. Okay. We can soft shoot. I know you said you didn't want to talk about customer success.
I just stuff.
But one of the things I think that I'm seeing a lot of, and you can give a little bit of your elevator pitch on what you do because obviously, like, you make a living and this is your job. I'm seeing a lot of like folks that move out of like direct CS management or direct CS strategy with customers and move into this space of helping others, like coaching, a lot of outsourcing these resources, right? There's a lot of people that are doing it poorly. I think there's a lot of people that are doing it well. I would love to hear from your perspective. Since you've gotten out of this, you started in professional services, you moved into some experiential roles, but what is something that, as you've moved into not working directly with your own customers, but running your business and coaching people on how they work with their customers, what do you miss? Like, what do you miss about kind of being in the trenches and moving kind of into a supporting role for the industry? I know there's a lot of people that listen to our podcast that we talk to that kind of think about wanting to start their own thing. Maybe there's pros and cons to that. I think there's a lot of people that share a lot of opinions that they heard from other opinions that aren't actually based in fact. Like, I listened to this on a podcast, so I'm going to do it and tell people.
Yeah.
Walk me through a little bit of that. And then, maybe some of those lessons that you really love about what you do, and then maybe the things that you miss.
Yeah. It's funny. The things that I was missing, I occasionally take an interim role where I come in as like the executive for, whether it's in professional services or customer success. will take one of those roles. And that's where I get like the direct client interaction. Like, for example, I'll be in New York tomorrow and Wednesday. Anybody? And I'm actually helping a CEO go around and visit some customers and talk to some customers, get some feedback, and also work with some partners on making sure that the implementations go right? Because just on that note, like what happens at this company happens at a lot is that you've got a software company, they're selling their stuff, and when they get purchased and the implementation comes in, they're running the implementation, right? But what happens when a partner sells it is that you're one of 15 pieces, right? And they've cobbled a bunch of vendors together. And some companies don't like that. They're like, no, like you do it our way, and it just breaks everything, right? So it's going in and doing those a little bit less on the theory and more on the as it happens. I'll tell you what I don't miss, which I have also as part of this interim role, is like 2 hour. I don't mind it, but like, if exec staffs aren't set up in the correct way, like this place is doing it really well, but sometimes it just turns into a game of corporate survivor and people are just trying to look smart and everything else. So I don't miss those as much. And a lot of people might miss some of the direct one-on-one time with employees and things like that, and triaging and stuff like that. So doing those now, but I hadn't been doing that for, I hadn't done that for about like 8 months. And I was sort of missing that. It kind of made like everything feel like it wasn't as real. Yeah. And then you were saying, hey, it'd be a good idea, go do that. Instead of like, we're rolling out the new process, you're going to do X, you're going to do Y, boom, 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 like that. So
got it.
Yeah, I have a lot to say on the people think they can be consultants as well too, but like
we'll have that private channel conversation.
I mean,
with names.
There's never do names. But I think there's a lot of people who got 5 years of experience that think that they're the cat's meow and that they can just go out there and tell people how to do it because maybe they were at a great company or something like that. But
can we please just give names for the rest of this episode?
Nope. Nope.
I love people.
Let everyone fill in the blanks themselves because, everyone who's listening to this is doing some self-reflection as they're hearing this and wondering if it's them.
Well, no, but I also think...
I want that level of discomfort out there in the community.
If you are listening and you're wondering if it's you, it is.
No, but also like that's a valuable lesson too, to kind of stick your toe into the pond and be like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, I think there's value in that. I'm not saying that everybody's an idiot, but everybody's an idiot.
Everybody needs a good kick in the crotch every once in a while.
They do, but I also I really love. I've got some friends that are kind of doing this fractional CFOs or fractional CMOs, and I really like that model more so than I'm going to run a consultancy company and then just like bring on a bunch of customers. One of the things that I see, and please add your context to this, but specifically when it comes to retention and relationships, it's so hard to just kind of do a one and done. Like it's not like I hit my quota then I move on, right? Like we're talking about process, right? Mickey, thank you for that. We got a great next question coming up from Mickey Powell after this. But yeah, like that's kind of the thought is when you get invested, you don't. I'm so sorry, Kristi.
I'm just I'm trying to look at everybody.
Mickey wants to know when the last time everybody got kicked in the crotch, and Kristi says, "What about me?" So, anyways. I've lost the plot, but do you know what I'm saying, Jeff? Like, tell me how you parachute in and inform yourself on your customers' dilemmas so that you're not just giving a rote answer. So you're not just saying, "Hey, here's a playbook that I developed. It's going to be $10,000, and you're going to be great."
Yeah, don't do that.
I'm going to take a drink of whiskey now, ladies and gentlemen. Brought to you by Blade and Bow.
Brought to you by alcohol.
Actually, John, there's. You can't infringe on the other CS podcast, which is all about whiskey and conversations.
Wait, there's a whiskey and conversation podcast for CS?
Whiskey and CS, yeah.
Why? I don't know if it's more CS podcasts or CS consultants. I really don't. But
well, it's a 1-to-1 ratio, of course, Jeff.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Anyways, answer my question.
I'll tell you. Damn it. I'll tell you what. Yeah. So the best relationships. You've got a bunch of different situations here. Sometimes it's a brand new company and they're being run by a founder that has no facility in anything post sales, right? Because we do everything post sales. We're not just customer success. And sometimes it can be this whole team is broken. I've been doing this stuff since like 98, right? So I've been involved with pre-sales all the way through post-sales since then.
It's like Ask Jeeves, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And good Brittany.
And good Brittany.
Since the era of good Brittany.
So there's a lot of pattern recognition there, right? And so you start recognize like, okay, let's look at everything from pre-sales through the end and fill in where the blanks are. But then that's where like that customization comes down to and everything. Yeah. So I think for a lot of these companies, whether they're either in this mode of like they had somebody that's never run success, running success or post-sales and kind of help them out in that regard. Or you've got a really good executive that's just too busy to take an initiative like, hey, let's go digital, right? Which is what everybody's doing this year and everything. Or whatever. We don't know what we're doing on implementation. We don't know what we're doing in professional services. We don't know what we're doing on support. And going in, instead of the $10,000 report, we definitely will put something together. It is up to a company to say, can you come in and help us with those things, right? We would prefer to just go in and help and not do the report, to be honest with you. And those sometimes are the best ones. But sometimes you need to get to some root cause analysis. But there's a lot of people who will just give you the report and try and rinse and repeat and then just walk along and just give reports out there. Yeah. The best engagements and the ones with the most, turnaround are the ones where we've been on probably 3 to 4 months, help them maybe get somebody hired, roll their processes out, and move from there. And you need a lot of background in I think in order to do that correctly. It's like why you would hire somebody who's experienced to come in and do it. You're not going to bring in somebody with minimal experience and let's give them that first director job and things like that.
So I can't sell a report for $10,000.
You can sell a report for $10,000, absolutely. But you might not sell a bunch of them. Can you get
on our next podcast? How working from the comfort of your own home.
Are we now selling multi-level marketing schemes?
Yeah, MLMs. I'm telling you, CS is the next MLM.
Jeff,
it kind of feels like a scam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mickey.
This is something I've thought a lot about because my mentors come from McKinsey. Josh comes from BCG. And
I'm not a mentor.
You guys have
a
yeah, we'll pick that up.
I don't like it when mommy and daddy fight.
Yeah, exactly.
At one time, I actually had a thought of should I go do the CS consultant thing 5 years ago? And I actually came to the realization that you said. I was like, I'm actually not that good. I'm not that experienced compared to the people out there. So I want to stay in the workforce because I wasn't sure how much extra value am I really going to add. What are the top 3 things that the outcomes, the value that these leaders are getting from you that they wouldn't necessarily get by going and just hiring somebody? Because I'm talking to leaders that are out of work, but I'm still hearing consultants getting jobs. So what are the 3 things, or 2, it doesn't have to be 3, that the CEOs and the leaders are great, I'm so glad I worked with Jeff?
Yeah. Mickey, one thing that happens is, and part of it is some of the stuff that I would tell you, you'd kind of be shocked because we all live in this kind of CS echo chamber where we're all repeating the same shit over and over and over again. But it's a shocker for some of these companies that you should maybe show a customer the value that they're getting, right? To contact them, to let them know that they're having a renewal come up. And not just to have everything go on auto. So if you worked your way backwards at, create the worst process, which would be no process, there's a lot of companies that are doing that. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of it is, at the end of the day, you want to increase retention, right? And that's something that, we try and do. Some of that takes a while because, as I told one of my customers, they're like, okay, so in 3 months, you're going to be able to give us 5% increase. I'm like, it's not my fault. You didn't talk to your customers for 11 months, right? Yeah. We could do an emergency save and maybe save some of these things, but status code TFB is what I call that when somebody asks me, it's too fucking bad. It's not happening, right? So some of it is I think you need to be prepared to take a longer picture at this and say, let's start day one now on all your customers and treating them properly. and having some process and doing some lightweight things and rolling out maybe a CSP if that would be great, and managing your team. But it literally is, if we all have the same, like, hey, do you know why customers don't renew? And they're like, and they can't answer it. And it's like, because you're not providing value, right? You're not, or you may be providing value, but you're not telling the contract signer that you're providing value. And this is brand new for a lot of people. And so it really is bringing them into some like basics 101, then get up to 201, 301. It's not like, okay, let's start you off with a digital thing and do X and do Y. And it's like literally like, let's get you into interacting with your customers first and not having it. It's the stuff, not just answering support tickets, not having your CSM be we talk about it a lot because there's the majority of people that they are doing it.
Yeah. So. No, I think you actually pointed out something really interesting. We talk about the echo chamber a lot on here. We were a part of the echo chamber. Yeah, we're trying to break the echo chamber down. But really, the only people that we're listening to are the ones that are talking. And I think this is also indicative of our customers, right? So I would say we probably talk to 20 to 30% of our top customers. The rest of them, it's kind of an unknown thing, right? It's kind of this unknown process. And if you take the same kind of methodology around businesses, there's really great companies out there that are doing great at customer success. And to your point, with the consultant approach, there is a ton of customers out there for you to go out and just teach the basics of level set and saying you're reading all these things instead of just listening to this one podcast and saying everything's fixed. Yeah. Let's actually bring somebody in and say, this is what they mean. And this is what they set the processes for. Right. Yeah. So I really love the way that you think about that.
Oh, I appreciate it. And by the way, John, could you like my post from this morning? I would really appreciate that.
Let me get on that.
Mickey,
you sound like Mickey in our group chat.
I'm just kidding. Back to a little
John,
bit
could you retweet this?
What's that?
That's what Mickey sounds like in my...
Why they're bringing consultants in instead of hiring people. They might have had a really bad person in there. They took a chance where they went through the whole interview process and sounded great and came in and just, fell flat on their face. And so
it's a different job getting the plane in the air than it is to keep it.
What's that again, John?
Oh, sorry. I just said it's a different job getting the plane in the air than it is keeping it in the air.
Yeah. I mean, I call it, if I'm in my slick pre-sales, which I rarely am, I'll say this concept that I call stress-free hiring, right? Because when you're in a pinch, you're like, I need to fire that person. They suck badly, right? And then you can put other adjectives after that.
Yeah.
It's like, but what are we going to do? Because I'd rather have that person's 40% than nothing right now. But then they don't want to start a job search. And what if the next person sucks? So I say, bring in a consultant, get some consistency in there, bring it back down pump the brakes a little bit, get some normalization going on, put in some stuff that is kind of proven to work. You got the quotes, you can show some work product off. We've got lots of all the templates and everything to show off and everything. And that just is a little bit safer for some people because also you can put stuff in the contract that says if you don't like what we're seeing after a month or two, then we're gone, right? Or you can just go and terminate the contract. Will never happen, but and that gives them this also feeling like I'm going to sign this person on and shit, they're going to be on a PIP 3 months in and then I got to manage them out and be on this never ending thing. So I say, we'll come in, we'll even help you hire. I mean, we're not we'll help interview. I'm not running a recruiting agency or anything like that, but it's like, you can then take the breath off because otherwise you hire a B player or, suddenly all your C players look like B players and A player, the math on that. And then they just keep bringing in bad, I've gone in current couple of companies we're working with now, and you start pulling back the layers and you're like, oh, I see this terrible process doc. But I wouldn't say that. Hey, do you know who wrote this? And they're like, oh, that was the person before that. No, it was 3 people ago. and it happens over and over and over again, right? Especially if you go through startups where they're, just trying to bring in somebody and going from there. And now they're maybe at a level where they can have some good people.
One of them is,
Yes, Mickey. Yeah. You said a lot of things.
You said a lot of words. There was a lot of words, Mickey.
You tell me to shut up while I'm talking.
We just tell Josh to shut up. It's not anybody else.
Josh doesn't even speak.
No, I wanted to dig in more to
I love it.
The whole hiring people or they're B players or you're having to manage them out because I've been fired before.
Yeah.
I've been fired for various reasons. And I still carry that chip on my shoulder. And a part of that is there have been times where I was like, whoa, I was giving 100% effort. And yes, it wasn't to your standards, but you didn't give me enough time to reach your standards, or your standards were unclear. And I'm still willing to say, like, I want to get better.
Yeah.
So how do you balance, like, put your leader hat back on for a minute, because I'm sure you've had to do this. Like, how do you balance that? We're demanding stuff from people. They may not be reaching that. How do we get them there? And I'm sure, Kristi, you have great input on this as well as being a great leader.
Well, at the consultant, you do get a little bit of a little unfair sort of boost. You have this little magical, like, you see these little glistening, like, I get that, like the Barbara Walters filter on me when I'm talking and everything. Like, it just sounds a little better coming from the consultant, and I can just be like, well, did ask a lot, so you can reset expectations a little bit better, if that's what you're going for, right? Like, in terms of coming in, seeing that there's like maybe too much going on. Like, I'll give you it's always data's better, right? Like, I came into this startup and they're like, well, we're at, 2 million per CSM, and that's the industry standard we heard and everything. And I'm like, yeah, but you're selling into SMB and your largest contract is $9.99 a month. So to get up to 2 million, that's a lot of customers. That's a lot of customers. So let's do this. Let's make sure we do our efficiency stuff, right? Yeah. Make sure you get your processes in place, get the whole digital thing going and everything where it makes appropriate, the whole thing, not just the email thing, and roll that out. And then say, let's rebalance, let's play the CS Tetris and move accounts around and all that stuff. Now we've done that. And we're still at volumes that don't make sense. So now we're going to maybe bring another person there too, or reshuffle or create a new role here or there or something like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that gets into like capacity planning, which seems like a really basic thing. But if you're just saying, well, the industry standard 2 million without looking at what that means, because 2 million is a number that people tend to use. But like you said, if it's $1,000 contract, Jesus.
I mean, I got a lot of
Well, the same person who called us lazy also said that 2 million was the magic number. So let's stop propagating like what this person keeps saying out there, right?
I didn't know.
Call back.
I didn't bring up that person, but I also got a lot of shit with somebody that we're all friends with because I said I bump into lazy people all the time because I'm usually replacing them. And I can tell you that
that's a flex, Jeff. Oh my gosh. Be careful. I may replace you.
Well, can I tell you something? I see more often than not because I sit in a unique seat as well, right? So I'm not in the company, but as their vendor and as a thought leader in customer success, I often get pulled into conversations with exec leadership, and I get put on the spot and asked a lot of questions about how and why they're doing the things that they're doing. Are they the right things? But I'm not getting paid for my opinion, right? So I have to toe a very delicate line. I can't say your processes are crap and your leader doesn't know what they're doing, even if that is what I feel. I have to make recommendations and right, like I have to be very delicate. But I will say, anytime that I see folks bringing in consultants and there is a senior leader in place, usually a short follow is a replacement. I very rarely see it as an additive value. It's usually the executive leadership team has some doubts. They're not seeing what they want. They're bringing this consultant to validate, and then you're seeing some change after that.
And I will say sometimes there's a different scenario when it's like there's so many higher level initiatives to go on. They need somebody to go execute and drive on things. And I'm doing one of those right now where it's like shit just needs to get done. Boom, 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 boom. There's acquisitions going on that they need to work on, like upgrade paths and things like so. Yes, I hear you. Not all the time. I'm also saying that for a specific reason right now, which I'll talk about later. But anyways,
So, is this a good time, Josh, to tell Mickey that you're bringing Jeff on as a consultant for?
Let's role play that conversation.
Yeah. No, this is man. I love this. Like, it truly has been one of those things. I guess the idea of consultancy. So, how do you inform yourself on trends that are happening in the trenches when you are so removed from them? And I know you're not so removed from them, but it is a different world in consultancy. So how do you filter through the bullshit that happens in the echo chamber so that what you're bringing is the nuance?
Yeah. So first of all, I do try and do like an interim leader thing every year, and or have one of those types of projects going on. So I'm not like walking around in some cloud of like, well, that's how we did it back in Y2K, right? And things like that. But like, I'm lucky because my family used to always tell me how dumb I am. So I'm always thinking I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm always going off and researching. My whole podcast now is just to talk about shit that I don't know about, right? Like I didn't know anything about CSQL, so I fired up a podcast and talked to my friend about it, right? Like, so, but you know, I try and avoid this confirmation bias, and I go on GGR. I talk with all you guys. I listen to some podcasts, and you know, not too many of them, but like every time I listen to a podcast and I don't know something or something comes up as interesting, I literally stop the podcast and take some notes or tell Siri, who's going to start firing off now on 5 different devices, to do that, right? And then I'll look it up or I'll talk about stuff and then start pulling out ideas. And then I'll start working it into like our templates and our SOPs and things like that if it winds up being like a path that I should look at and stuff.
Who hurt you?
Does that help?
Specifically?
It does. No, I love that. It's all like the iterative process is, it's the iterative process is really that I feel like there's a lot of set it and forget it. You know, you find a success that wins. I've worked with some really poor consultants in the past. So I do love hearing kind of how things get refined. I also want to know what your cup says. Could you please read that?
So I almost feel bad because of the whole, I'm not trying to copy Nick here, but so
is that Taylor?
It's Taylor. My daughter when they went to the U.S. Open last week, she went to the Taylor Swift Museum.
Yes.
Where's the Taylor Swift Museum?
I'll find out for you. I want.
Okay, please do. Thank you.
I want to wear pink and tell you how I feel about politics. And she asked me to use this on this podcast today. She's like, "Are you doing a podcast?" I said, "Yes." And she's like, "Can you please use this mug?" And I'm like, "I don't want to do like, oh, there's this guy Nick, and he's got this big Taylor thing, and I'm really trying not to go down that route." But you know, so
that's all right.
I'm going to get a Britney mug, and we're going to make Britney cool again. We're going to make her relevant.
For everybody,
so,
all right.
Kristi, were you on the Britney Aguilera thing? Like, what side are you on that?
Ooh, man.
Wait, is it still
Christina
a thing?
Aguilera woke something up in me that
wait,
back then.
Wait, pause. Is it still a thing, or are you talking about like back in the day,
like 99,
like coming after like Disney's Mickey Mouse Club, like after we broke out of that? Yeah.
I'm just in retrospect. When you look at the whole situation, where does it net out for you?
You ready?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jessica Simpson.
Oh really? Oh wow.
I'm more of a fan of her sisters, to be honest. But yeah.
Look.
Listen, I liked Jessica. Like she was my girl. So I had to I liked Christina, but she was a little bit more edgy for me. I was not edgy at that age.
Yeah.
She was it was like a little rough for me. So I like Jessica. She felt a little bit more wholesome. She was a little dumb. I liked that about her. Buffaloes don't have wings. That's a classic.
Did you watch her show? Did you watch her reality show?
It was on a reality show.
Her and Nick.
I love it. I love it.
No, I'm just messing around. Yeah.
Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey, they were married. Yeah. Oh, the other night. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
That's so fun. I love
land.
Early 2000s pop music. Speaking of musicians, Jeff, Mr. Rockstar here. I am thinking back to there we go, a little PRS in the background. Let's talk a little bit about the little show you did in San Francisco during Gainsight.
We'll do this for 2 minutes and then we'll. I feel like I can go overboard on that stuff, so I don't want to make it be like. I'm not big into the look at me as much as I try and be funny like that. If that makes sense, I guess.
No, I know, but I will say it was really fun. So you, Miranda, Jay, and who played drums?
Is Brian Plaster from? Is that going to get edited right out of?
No. No, Brian Plaster.
Yeah.
So for those of you that were at Pulse or just kind of watched online, a bunch of CS leaders put together a little show that Miranda sang at, and what I love is we spend so much time talking about CS. We spend so much time in our echo chamber that when we have the opportunity to step out of it and see things that we're also passionate about in a new way. And I think that it is one of my favorite memories of you and I meeting and hanging out together.
Yeah.
And I got videos and pictures and do you remember the photo that was behind you guys?
Oh, of course. My biggest. Did I tell you my biggest regret is that, and I said this at the award ceremony after, is that we didn't rename the band on stage to Miranda and the Vajayjays.
Yeah. There was a giant naked picture behind them. We'll put it in the show notes if we're allowed to.
Yeah.
But I think it took halfway through the set before everybody in the crowd like looked up and was like, "Oh God."
Right, because
I don't think I could post this on Instagram.
Way, you wouldn't have seen it, right? No. And it was definitely NC-17 going on there.
Definitely.
Thank you for the rating.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That all went down because I'm good friends with Jay, and we always said, hey, if we're ever at a conference again together, we should just bring our guitars and play instead of hanging out and talking about CS.
Yeah, I love it.
And so then I said, hey, I'm going to be out there. And then I said, hey, Jay, let's just get together and play some tunes. And it was on a group chat that I think Kristi was on. And then suddenly it turned into a gig. And then I said, I'm only going to do this if I can run it. And then if I can play at a dive bar and make sure that nobody talks about CS at all. It is literally about going and having it. I'm like, yeah, you can have side conversations, but they're going to be like, okay, we played 3 songs. I really want to chat about like NRR right now, right? We weren't going to do that whole thing. So, but thanks,
I love it. No, it was really, really great. I actually have my own.
There's always more talented people that, first of all, asked to be on stage and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, so we can go practice for 3 months, but you just want to jump on stage and, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So that was a little nervy and stuff like that. But, it was great. So I just figured you were going to be standing there with your arms and like, why did you play the chord that way? I would have played drop 3 shell voicing there or something like that.
No, you'll learn. I think of myself in the same way that you think of like as a musician. Like I am just so thrilled that other people love music.
Yeah.
And I send demos and I like make music and I've got studio stuff and that's all fine. But one of my favorite things is just seeing things that bring other people like into their own spotlight. And it was so cool to sit in that audience. And, Jay and I have our own little private thing talk every Sunday. He's like, I'm playing at church. Are you playing at church? And we like share screenshots of like the soundboard and stuff like that. So
for all you that don't know, like when they're talking about playing churches, this isn't like,
it's a
in the background. Like, it is like a Dave Matthews concert.
No, I mean, it's like 10,000 people.
Yeah.
They don't have churches like that by me.
Yeah, in Charleston, South Carolina, that's all.
I know. I don't live in like the church mecca.
I know. Oh yeah, you're in New Jersey.
Big church.
So.
I'm on Long Island.
Long Island,
is like kind of the same.
We got Nathan's
different.
hot dogs, and we got some.
Okay, that's Brooklyn. That is Brooklyn. That is a different borough. I'm on an island. I'm not even a borough.
Whatever. Anyways, how are anybody? Kristi, do you have a question?
What?
I texted you. I told you to tell me to shut up.
I know, and then I texted you back, and I said, "No, keep doing it. I love it."
But I want to hear from you.
What do you want to hear?
It's the whiskey talking. No.
All right. No. I do have a question for Jeff. Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay. So you deploy all of these reports, these ideas, these recommendations, these processes. How often do you go back to these companies to go see what their success rate looks like?
Good point.
Because we know this is all lagging indicators, right? Like all the work that we do, you might not see the benefit of it for a year.
I've been better about that now. Usually I'm just in contact with people like a lot and everything, but then I realized, so there's more than just me on my team and everything. And so I realized, hey, I should reach back out. Also, it's great for the website and things like that. But like, then there's how are those things going? I'm actually honestly curious and things like that. And I'm trying to find what that right time period is. It's 3 months is tough. 6 months, hopefully you start seeing some traction and things like that. So the answer is I'm trying to do more and more of that. Yeah.
Okay. And then what's the success rate of deployment, right? So you're coming in with all these recommendations and all these ideas. Similarly, right, I'm working with CS teams who love the idea of our technology, who struggle to get it set up correctly, who struggle to deploy it and drive change management. So I'd love to hear from your standpoint. It's not technology. It's still work for them. Are they doing it?
Yeah, so this is when you're the interim leader, right? We talked about the fractional or the interim leader coming in to fix a spot. It's a lot easier because you're in control. And so, and I tell people that like right up front when all situations are different and everything. But like if I'm given a couple options to choose from, I'll be like, listen, I really don't like that option because it's not, if reporting in to our function, you're like, hey, can we now roll out the renewal process, right? Like, or versus like, so you're going to be KPI'd. We're going to be going through the software. We're going to be seeing like, so it's a different conversation, right?
Yeah.
And I will say projects are probably 60 to 70% more successful if we are an interim leader. It's not exactly the model I shoot for all the time. But again, if you've got, I will also then say, if you've got that example I talked about earlier with a really good educated leader that just needs some bandwidth because they're dealing with an acquisition or they've got 1,000 things to work on, then they will execute and make those things happen as well too. But yeah, if you just come in like, here's a report, I think you guys should roll out client success and maybe hire 3 more people over there, like guaranteed, like, that maybe not be happening so fast or whatever. So yeah. I feel I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that sometimes I'm being brought in by the investors, and they do kind of make sure that these things happen a lot more.
Interesting.
So, that's interesting. That's like
that definitely changes the dynamic.
In the back of the teacher room saying,
so I will say
shape
though,
up.
I've never been paid by the investor. They always introduce me. But
they're like, you really should.
We recommend you highly.
It's highly recommended.
A good idea.
Yeah.
So in that case, you have a little bit of that, like, hey, I just got brought in by these guys to fix this fucking problem, and you should probably do that, right? Like, so there is I always throw this mask on top of the humor and everything, but like, there is this element of being like, listen, there's no politics in this for me, right? Like, I'm not trying to hire 5 people, and I'm not trying to get that gig, and I'm not trying to get the C title and, do this whole thing and set me up for the next gig or whatever. I'm like, I'm just coming in to get shit done, fix the broken stuff, and X, Y, and Z. And I'm pretty clear about that. And that actually helps things out a lot more than what it could be if you're just like,
you made a point that I think is,
and all that stuff.
That I think is actually really important.
So you're coming in very disarming.
You're coming in for results. That's good. But the problem is, a lot of leaders, they might be capable, but they also have to do all the other things. They got to play the politics. They have to fight for resources. They have to make a case that anything should be done. So it's like, okay, maybe that's why consultants work, is because we're just like, nope, they're just coming in for results. We're paying them for results. We're not paying them to politic. We're not paying them to love the team and to encourage and nurture the team. So are we then, is the expectations of leaders too high, too low?
I mean, I love to hear what other people have to say about this, but like, this goes back to the point where, like, Kristi was like, hey, if somebody's brought in, there might be like and I'm like, no, sometimes they don't have a director in place, but they have like a C-level person. I really see this when they bring in a CCO with no implementation or ProServe background, and they need to get that whole thing kind of brought up. And, because there's a whole like methodology and project management kind of thought mentality that goes into that versus like, hey, we're CS, we hug, right? Sorry. And so
I don't hug.
So, but it is. It's like,
not.
we're bringing in this person, and I'm usually like, I'm going to come in, get shit done, and then train your director that's going to come in and over and make sure that the stuff's going to happen as well. So, yeah, silence again.
No, this is good. I've always, if I'm honest, I've looked up to the way that you've kind of shared information for a long time, and I've really enjoyed learning from you over the years. So it's just, yeah, totally. Mickey's a real dick about things,
and I've written most of it.
Yeah. So no, but I just appreciate your perspective on this. So.
I want that to be just every post comment from Kristi, like, yeah, I wrote this 5 years ago.
Yeah, come on.
I don't have that many good ideas.
You have a lot of good ideas, Kristi.
That's because I steal them from Jeff.
Fair. Josh, how are you doing?
Is that my cue? Is that my cue, John?
The oven timer
are you just going to
edit
end the podcast?
I'm actually,
Good night, everybody.
I'm editing all of you. This is just going to be what I said during the episode.
It'll be
2
a
minutes.
30-second episode.
Yeah, the whole 10 seconds of it. I feel like we've started to reshape my role in this podcast, and you know what? I'm not upset about it. I'm the guy that gets us going, and then abruptly tells us time is over.
The project manager. Yeah,
project manager. Yeah. Well, anyways, thank you everybody for listening to this episode of the Jon and Jeff Show. We hope you
Kentucky Bourbon.
Sponsored by Kentucky Bourbon. It's so good. This is like the last of it from the bottle, and I didn't want to wait till tonight. So
is good.
John, is this whiskey thing like the path where now you're going to go do BJJ and listen to Joe Rogan and Jocko and stuff? Or
God, no.
Okay.
That's Kristi's husband.
I love Jocko.
Did he go off the deep
He came out, but then it...
Nah, he's still good.
Selling boots and protein powder and everything else.
Well, he sold tea. I did buy the Jocko tea. It was like a white cranberry tea. You know what? I thought it was pretty good.
This is the part that I will cut out. Thank you guys.
Really?
Have
Why?
What kind of
Jocko tea?
What type of supplement are we going to start selling? I'm curious.
Yeah.
Also, nootropics. What brain
nootropics, brain power.
Fat burners. We need to sell fat burners or weight
mushrooms?
loss.
What about like mushrooms? Like, can we just get high and
big salads?
The diet industry makes billions of dollars. I want to sell weight loss pills.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we love you.